TGIF Tallahassee, thank God. It is a beautiful day out there, 80 degrees, partly cloudy, a light east-northeast wind. Look at that scintillating sunshine as it starts to set down over Doak Campbell Stadium. Absolutely gorgeous. Looking at our current temperatures, right now pretty warm in the lower to mid-80s at 6 o'clock on a November evening. And the cool spot is Thomasville 79, which is still very warm. Daylight savings time, we're going to fall back onto Saturday, so make sure you set your clocks back. It will be getting darker a little bit earlier. For tonight's headlines, warmer than average temperatures dominating through mid-next week, temperatures in the mid-80s. Rain chances next week, that next cold front system coming through. And of course, we're going to be looking at the history behind daylight savings time and how long will it last into our future. All this and more on FSU weather.
Good evening, Tallahassee. We've had some really unusual weather for this time of year. Really warm temperatures, a lot warmer than we would expect to see this time of year. I know a lot of people are really unhappy about that. And unfortunately, it isn't really looking like that's going to change anytime soon. And along with those warmer temperatures, we're also getting really dry conditions. We haven't had a substantial rainfall amount in quite some time, and it's starting to show in those drought outlooks. So if you're outside, make sure you're not putting out any cigarette butts on the ground. Maybe starting a fire, even though it is a little cooler. Hopefully, we might finally get some rain chances in the next week, towards the end of the next week. That might help bring down our drought a little bit, but still something to seriously watch out for this time of year. And we'll be talking about all that and more, going into what's going on in the tropics, what's going on drought-wise, and if we're going to have any rainfall coming in. So again, we're looking for those cool sweater weather, but we're not seeing those cool temperatures. It's really not going to be pleasant for the next couple weeks if you are a northern person that likes that colder weather. Really not the great time of year for you. Welcome to Florida. It's always going to happen this way. But we're going to turn things over to Chandler and hit things off with what's going around here in Tallahassee right now.
Thank you for that, Melissa. It's been quite a warm one, like you just mentioned. 80 degrees, partly cloudy sky, sun is setting over Doak Campbell Stadium. Beautiful sight to see with some light winds, 7 miles per hour, adding a little bit of cooler feel to the temperatures, but still quite warm, unseasonably warm for this time of year. And the story is still the same for FSU Res, where they are also 80 degrees, partly cloudy. Of course, this is a nice place to go if you're trying to cool off this weekend or into next week. Panama City as well, beautiful conditions. Again, partly cloudy skies with the sun starting to set off in the distance. Again, southeasterly winds and 80 degrees, so quite enjoyable conditions overall across the Panhandle and Big Bend region. However, it is still unseasonably warm, so you might enjoy these temperatures, but whenever you take a look at comparing that to our average, we're close to 10 degrees above average, at least for our high, and for our low, we're at least 6 degrees above average. So quite a warm one for here in Tallahassee, and it will continue to be a warm one for quite a while. And we're waiting for some rain to come too. So again, the whole entire local area has been warm and hot. That's the story. And again, no showers in the area. So it's a pretty quiet one. And if you want to enjoy your Friday night, you definitely can tonight. Current temperatures, again, all across the area, it is 80s and even upper 70s. Thomasville, you're usually one of our cooler sites anyway. But then down towards Sumatra, 81 degrees. So again, across the whole entire area, 80s, upper 70s, definitely unseasonably warm for this time of year. Those dew points are also a little bit on the muggier side, 50s and even 63 in Apalachicola, which again is a little bit more on the humid side for this time of year. We usually expect that to go down towards the lower 50s, even into the 40s by this time. And for tonight's forecast, we're expected only to get down into the mid 60s across the area. So again, quite a warm one. We're not going to cool down that much. So of course, if you have any nighttime festivities, you can definitely enjoy that. However, it's still not what we want to see in the month of November. Future radar shows that we'll have a few clouds that enter the area throughout the day on Saturday. And we have some showers building in from the east associated with a low pressure trough that's coming towards the Florida Peninsula and East Coast. And then we also have some rain off to our west that we'll talk about later on from a cold front that's causing a little bit of mischief over in the Great Plains. For tomorrow's forecast, We again have those 80s that we're going to reach 85 here in Tallahassee, 86 in Bainbridge. So overall, it's pretty warm conditions. For tonight, we're going to get down towards 62 degrees, partly cloudy, winds out of the east at 4 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, 85 degrees. So again, quite warm and muggy even. And for the next 7 days, we'll again reach those mid 80s and those mid 60s for our lows. So quite a warm one. But now Nico's going to give us a look at the rest of the state of Florida and see what those conditions look like.
Yeah, thank you, Chandler. So as it is Friday, we have another edition of FSU Weather in Spanish. This time we're going to be taking a look at the state of Florida. Buenas tardes, Tallahassee. Yo soy estudiante meteorólogo Nicolás Porcelli y en esta edición de FSU Weather en español vamos a darle un paseo al estado de la Florida. El radar del momento demuestra que no tenemos mucha actividad de precipitación por la mayoría del estado. Solo tenemos unas lluvias pasajeras viniendo desde el Atlántico y trayendo unas lluvias ligeras. Para acercándose a Pensacola pueden ver que es un día muy lindo. Cielos muy despejados con una temperatura de 74 y una brisa desde el este a 10 millas por hora. Va a ser una linda atardecer para caminar la playa. Para el radar del Panhandle, como demuestran nuestras imágenes en vivo, pueden ver que no hay mucha actividad de precipitación. La única precipitación que vemos es aquí en el oeste por Jacksonville y Daytona. Ahora, acercándose a Gainesville, pueden ver que es un atardecer parcialmente nublado, viento desde el este-noreste por 6 millas por hora y con una temperatura de 78, pero pueden ver que también ahí va a ser un atardecer muy linda. Y el radar del norte de la Florida, ahí puedes ver esas lluvias pasajeras que están viniendo desde el Atlántico. Aquí en el Atlántico hay un poco de humedad que está trayendo estas lluvias más al centro del estado, pero ya hacia que se van más al oeste se disipan. Yendo al sur, a Fort Lauderdale, pueden ver que tenemos vientos desde el noreste a 10 millas por hora. En el momento no tenemos la temperatura, pero pronóstico de 80 grados en Fahrenheit. El radar del sur de la Florida, aquí también puedes ver que hay muchas lluvias pasajeras desde el Atlántico, especialmente en West Palm Beach County. Pueden ver una densidad de más lluvias que el resto del estado. Pero para las temperaturas del momento pueden ver que la mayoría del estado está en los altos 70s a los bajos 80s. En Orlando está 81 y en Tampa 81, pero el resto del estado está en los 70s. Los puntos de rocio, como estaba explicando Chandler, en este momento tenemos condiciones un poco más húmedas que lo normal. En este momento deberíamos estar viendo temperaturas de punto de rocio más bajo en los 50s, pero por esta razón se siente un poco más caluroso y un poco más húmedo. Para el pronóstico de esta noche esperamos temperaturas en los bajos 70s y aquí más al norte en los medios 60s. Pero para el radar futuro pueden ver que no hay mucha actividad de precipitación, solo sigue esas lluvias pasajeras desde el este del Atlántico, pero no va a haber mucha amenaza de agua. Pero para el pronóstico de mañana pueden ver que van a haber temperaturas calientes en el sur de la Florida, 88 en Fort Myers y 87 en Tampa. Y ahora, ¿cómo van a ser las condiciones desde el sureste, Alejandra?
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Yeah, looking at the southeast, folks, it's kind of a similar story for most of us here. Nashville, Tennessee, beautiful clear skies. Different story down here in Louisiana with just that really cloudiness. Tomorrow they're expecting quite some severe thunderstorms associated with that cold front over Texas right now. So they're gearing up for a nasty ride. If you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, really nice. You can see that fall foliage. Look at those beautiful reds, orange. And if you're in Tampa, you have a big fat cloud sitting right on top of you with that sea breeze bringing in nice moisture and just some afternoon convection. But no storms are expected for y'all. Looking just at the radar for us, folks, you can really see that angry line of storms right over here in Texas. We have a stationary front with a low pressure system that's just dumping rain. Severe weather is expected for that area, so folks, you have to be careful. But for us folks here in the southeast, we do have a low pressure trough sitting right off
our coast in the Atlantic, bringing in some scattered showers. But for the most part, we're clear here. Really nice conditions, warm conditions, but really nice to go outside if anybody's planning on enjoying their Friday night. As I said, quite toasty for us folks here in the southeast. Our temperatures showing 70s across the board, a little bit toastier here in Shreveport, 81, expecting that cold front to move in, which if you spot the cold front right here, folks, that storm is going to come in. And for the Florida Peninsula, a little bit toastier in the 80s. But folks, it is just quite unseasonably warm for us here, especially in the month of November. We normally see 70s, but we're just stuck in the 80s. If you're looking at that wind, again, you can actually see the wind moving in from the Gulf, feeding in to that cold front that we've been seeing. It's just really bringing in a lot of moisture that here us in the southeast have just not been seeing. As you can see, just not a lot of moisture, just some land breezes bringing in just, again, dry air for us folks here. Looking into the future, in the next 36 hours, we can see that cold front moving in, bringing in some nasty storms going through Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama before dissipating once it reaches us here in the East Coast and even the Florida Peninsula. So you guys over in Louisiana, you better watch out. That muggy cast of green, you can see that water vapor just pushing through. We're going to just see muggy, muggy, muggy conditions, folks. And looking forward, I'm so sorry, my thing is jammed. The Charlotte weekend forecast, they're going to be seeing some rain, and it's going to be a similar story for Nashville. Again, rain on Saturday. It's going to be clearing up. Also for Tampa, your guys are going to be absolutely clear. The Sunshine State is going to be shining through. And New Orleans, again, like I mentioned, you guys are going to be getting some thunderstorms. So be careful, folks, if you're in NOLA. But you know what, Chandler? I'm wondering what is happening nationally.
That is right. Yes, let's take a broad scale look at what's going on across the whole entire 48. Well, for the most part, it's all about this front. Again, we can spot the cold front and see all these showers stretching from Michigan all the way down into Texas. So again, it's a lot of not so fun weather for those in the Great Plains and Midwest. Up there towards the northwest, we also see some showers and disturbances. And then, of course, down here, again, with that short wave trough, we're seeing some of little small showers coming off from there. But again, overall, all the action-packed weather is over here. Again, you can also spot the cold front with water vapor, which we see a decent amount of water vapor coming through the Texas-Oklahoma area. And it's also stretching all the way up into Minneapolis. That is, of course, associated with our low-pressure system in general, which has this cold front, and then we have our warm front over here near Chicago. So again, it's quite a large system, and it's bringing in a lot of cooler air. Again, as we can see with the current national temperatures, spot the cold front. Again, we have 43 degrees in Kansas City, but then you go down into Missouri and into Memphis, and you can see there's a much warmer temperature, 74 degrees actually in Memphis. So again, over a course of a few hundred miles, we're seeing temperature range from 30 degrees, or temperature difference of 30 degrees. So again, quite a strong cold front. And cold fronts also lower dew points. So again, if you spot the cold front, you can see drier air behind that front that is going to push out this moisture and bring in drier conditions for most of the Great Plains and Midwest. Those max temp anomalies, again, you can spot the cold front with that. When we see all this deep blue and purple, it's telling us that there is temperatures that are much cooler than normal for this time of year across pretty much the Rockies and the Great Plains. But then when we move over into the East Coast, we have a lot warmer conditions across most of the area. And then our min temperatures also spot the cold front. We have much warmer temperatures than normal across the whole entire Mississippi River Valley and part of the Great Plains, but then once we get over into the Rockies, we're a little bit cooler. Drought monitor, again, we are pretty dry from Texas all the way up into Nebraska. So this rain has been a little bit of a drought buster, but we wish to see a few more of those systems come through and help out those folks in Oklahoma and Kansas. Zooming in a little bit closer to Tallahassee, we actually do have a severe drought as well. So we're pretty dry here. We need some rain. We're not seeing it yet. Hopefully we can get some maybe next week. And then across the southeast, like Ale mentioned, we have this cold front over here. Again, you can spot the cold front with all these showers over here. But then whenever you go over here, we are pretty clear except for over near the east coast where we have that shortwave trough. And then the northeast, we're also pretty clear, but that ensuing low pressure system will come in, bring in some cloud coverage and then some rain as well in towards the weekend. Northwest, like I mentioned, they have some rain and actually some snow that they're dealing with associated with another low pressure system over here in the northwest. So if you are out in Idaho, I guess you can enjoy some of that snow that's been falling over the last few days because of your nice below average temperatures and a big huge trough that has helped cool the area down and bring in a lot of moisture for the west, which they definitely need. The southwest, you guys are a little bit drier though, not like your northern neighbors. You guys are actually responsible for this low pressure system. It developed in the southwest and now it's making its way through Texas. And again, severe weather coverage. We have a tornado watch until 8 p.m. Central Time, and we have a lot of tornadoes warnings. We will be doing coverage of severe weather here shortly after this programming, so we will cover that more in depthly. But again, we have a 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, so something to stay alert if you are in that area, and even just in the southern Great Plains and into Louisiana and Arkansas. And then, of course, with the day 2, we're seeing a little bit of disturbance, but not as much associated with that cold front. And then overnight temperatures, again, pretty much the same as what we've been talking about. Big, huge difference between the west and the east. And then we're going to track the tropics now with Melissa.
Yeah, thanks, Chandler. So you probably were all able to spot that cold front, but can you spot the tropical disturbances? So we've gone through quite a few names out there in the Atlantic. We are on to the M name with our L name still out there. Lisa, currently a tropical depression sitting over in the southern Gulf of Mexico. But we also have 2 other areas that we're currently watching. One off to a little bit farther north, but off the coast of the Carolinas, way out there. And another one off the coast of Florida to the southwest, or southeast, sorry. And that's one that you're going to have to watch, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So for our first disturbance, 10% chance of formation in both 2 days and 5 days, so not a huge concern at this time, just something to keep an eye on. But that second disturbance, that's where we see a little bit higher chance of formation. 0% chance in 2 days, but 40% in 5 days. And this storm does have some models running that have it doing some pretty crazy things and coming for Florida, so something you really want to keep an eye on, especially since it's not that far. So again, monitor it, stay up to date with what National Hurricane Center is putting out, and make sure that you're keeping up with the latest to make sure you can prepare in time. Tropical depression Lisa, move to the other side for you can see it. Low pressure, kind of just sitting out there, not really doing a whole lot, not expected to move a whole lot of anywhere, kind of just sitting there spinning right now. Looking at 30-mile-an-hour winds Saturday and 25 on Sunday, so kind of weakening as we go through the next couple days. For our models, Euro and GFS are pretty closely aligned. They have that high pressure system which is sitting up above the coast of the Carolinas, and that's what's going to turn that storm, and that's why that one model is saying that if a system does form where we had that 40% chance, it's going to try and turn into Florida. Sea surface temperatures, it's really late in the season, but it is still warm enough to have those storms form. Again, that 40% area is sitting over warmer waters of 80 degrees, and that other storm is a little bit farther north, kind of off those temperatures, so not as likely to form, but again, that is over some warm sea surface temperatures, so it's very likely that it can form. Our Gulf water vapor is showing tropical depression Lisa spinning around down there, but not too much of a threat. One thing impeding our 40% area right now is that dry air in front of it, so we are looking at that as well. And main development region water vapor, if we were to have something down here, there is plenty of water vapor out there right now for something to form. So again, it's late in the season, but it's still not impossible for a storm to form. But we're going to take it back on land and look at what it's in store for our daylight savings time.
That's crazy. So we're talking about daylight savings time and active tropics. What is going on? I guess that is a one thing there for you. Anyways, we're going to get to our educational segment. Go ahead, kids, bring your backpacks out. We're going to learn about daylight savings time. It doesn't get much more exciting than that. Anyways, in 1784 by Benjamin Franklin, he made this to conserve candles. He made candles, by the way. First used by Canada in 1908. I'm sure all this will come relevant to everyone. And of course, gaining popularity after Germany used it during World War I to save fuel for war. So basically, even though we just see it as it gets later, earlier, it seems to us when we associate it with saving an hour of sleep in the evening time really has quite a bit of historical significance, and it was used during the wartime. See, in World War I, Canada, 1908, and of course Benjamin Franklin really wanted to save his candles. So as daylight savings time, it looks like North America, parts of Canada, and Europe as well, and then in the northern hemisphere, some in the southern hemisphere, summer, Australia and South America have it as well. So very interesting stats, and of course this all ends Sunday, or it starts Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned. Now we're going to hand over to Ale for her forecast.
Yes, of course. So, folks, if locally, honestly, we do have daylight savings times coming up, so make sure everybody falls back this Sunday. But you know what I am focused on this fall season? This beautiful sunset here at Doak Campbell Stadium. 81 degrees, toastier than we've normally been expecting us here in the Panhandle. Partly cloudy with a nice breeze coming out of the east-northeast. If you're going outside today, our local area, it's just beautiful outside. Clear skies in the FSU Sportsplex if you're going to go do any sports or do any IM sports. If you're looking to be on the water, St. George Island is your place to be. Also, Lake Bradford at the FSU Res, just beautiful sunset. If you guys are going out, Panama City, also just beautiful conditions. You guys definitely go outside and take advantage. I know a lot of people will be heading to the club tonight, so it's going to be a great time for you to go out because look at that. Radar showing clear skies, great conditions for you folks to just take advantage of this wonderful weather. It is toastier, like I've been mentioning. Current temperatures, 80s across the board with some 70s up in Thomasville and Donaldsville. A little bit cooler, especially down here in Apalachicola with 76. But for the most part, folks, we've been sitting pretty much in the low 80s, high 70s for most of this November and October months for this year. Tonight's forecast, 60s across the boards. Again, we normally get down and more into the 50s, but it's just really been a toastier fall that we've been seeing, again, because of these high moisture, just really clear conditions that have just been persisting. If you're going stargazing tonight, folks, it might just not be your night. We do have a waxing gibbous that's just going to add some extra brightness in your sky. It's going to make it a little bit harder to see the stars, and that fog that's going to come in late will also be sort of occluding your vision if you're going stargazing. Again, the radar showing again that fog coming in late at night. We are going to get some clouds again associated with that cold front that we're expecting to be rolling throughout the weekend because it's going to be dissipating a little bit as it gets into the Florida Panhandle, kind of falling apart near Mississippi, Alabama. Looking forward, however, tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful day to go outside. I know we have a lot of farmers markets. We actually do have a Greek festival happening in the area if anybody's interested. It's going to be really lovely conditions, 80s across the board. Just beautiful, beautiful day to go outside and take advantage of what Tallahassee has to offer. If you're flying tomorrow, it is going to be cloudy, but no delays. However, I believe if you're flying out of Dallas, Fort Worth, we are going to be expecting some delays because, again, of that nasty weather y'all are going to be having. I don't think I'd want to be on a plane over there. If you go into the beach, it's going to be nice and toasty at 80 with just a slight surf of 1 to 2 feet. But don't worry, folks, your 7-day is looking great. It's going to be 80s across the board, but we might be getting some showers into Thursday and Friday, which will bring us a little bit of cooler weather. But you know what, Nick? I just love sports, and I'm wondering, how is this beautiful weather going to be doing with our sports?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great weekend for sports. There's going to be so many activities happening here at FSU, and FSU is going to be playing in a bunch of locations abroad as well. So first up, we got FSU volleyball versus Clemson. This is FSU volleyball is nearing the end of their season, so this might be one of the last opportunities for you to go see our girls volleyball. But they play tonight at 8 p.m. It's going to be 72 degrees, so it's going to be nice conditions to go and walk over to the Tully Center. Saturday, our FSU baseball is going to be hosting USF at 2 p.m. And it's actually going to be pretty nice conditions, partly cloudy for most of the afternoon, and temperatures hovering in the low 80s. So it's going to be really nice conditions for a good game of baseball. And our women's basketball is going to be opening against Bethune-Cookman on Monday at 11 a.m., 76 degrees in the morning, and then it warms up a little bit into the afternoon. So if you guys are walking to and from the stadium, it's going to be pretty nice conditions. Just remember, it will be a little bit warm. For our radar for the region, there is no precipitation forecasted for the next weekend, so it seems like it's going to be a nice conditions to play sports and to watch sports if you're going out to see our Knowles. For women's tennis, they're going to go down to DeLand, Florida, and play against Stetson. And it's going to be really nice conditions, 74 degrees in the morning, and then it heats up a little bit to the low 80s by the afternoon. So it's going to be pretty warm conditions for our girls' tennis. Down there in DeLand, they do not see too much activity. There will be some passing showers and passing clouds due to that moisture coming in from the Atlantic. But other than that, it seems like they won't have too many stoppages in play if these rain showers are quick like the radar shows. And for our soccer, our FSU defending champions, defending national champions, they're playing the ACC championship against UNC. It's a really tough game. We already lost our first game against UNC here at home a couple weeks ago, but this is time for redemption. It's going to be really nice conditions over in Cary, North Carolina, starting off at noon. The game's at noon, starting off at kickoff. It's going to be 71 degrees, partly cloudy. It's actually going to be really nice conditions. Won't be too hot for our FSU Seminoles. They're coming off a really long game, went into overtime and into penalties. So hopefully these conditions would benefit our girls. And as you can see, there's going to be some clouds coming from the south, but not too much rain in the forecast. And finally, our FSU football team is taking on Miami down in Doak Campbell Stadium. This is the game everyone circled. Hopefully the conditions look really good, 80 degrees all at night, and hopefully we take home the dub. So how are things going around town, Hayden?
Pretty good, and that 81 is also going to be the score that FSU puts up on Miami. But at the future radar, we will have some showers for that game if you're out tailgating, heading down for travels. So we'll have some probably cloudy conditions, some tropical showers, but nothing too bad overall. It should be a great forecast if you're going around out of town. So for the local radar in Tallahassee, nothing but sunny skies popping up. We saw that sun over that Doak Campbell Stadium. We should have a beautiful sunset over, say, Lake Bradford if you're heading out with your dog. And the future radar, not showing too much, just some high-level clouds, maybe some fog in the morning, so keep in tune in that. But overall, it should be very clear out for the forecast. And that continues out through Saturday. Maybe some showers over in coastal Big Bend area. Overnight, if you're going out to the club, as Ale said, 11 p.m., leaving recess, 68 degrees, partly cloudy, very pleasant. 2 a.m., 66, actually very warm for this time of the year. So you actually might wish it was a little bit cooler, but you should be able to wear anything you want and not be too hot. Morning dog walk forecast, Tallahassee, 63 degrees, 7 a.m. Your dog will be very happy. Warming up to a pleasant 74, 11 a.m. Head to the Greek Festival. Bring your dog to it if they can, I'm not sure. And of course, if you're driving an old Mercedes, one of your favorite sports cars, 77 degrees at noon, sunny conditions. Make sure you bring your sunglasses. 3 p.m., 83 degrees, nothing but scintillating sunshine. It should be awesome. Look at how fast the car is moving through. Very cool graphics. Airport delays. I actually have a buddy who leaves for Idaho. I know he's a little bit nervous about that. But we're all clear, so there's no going back on your forecast now, buddy. And anyways, airport delays, pretty much good throughout the nation except for Dallas-Fort Worth. We do have an orange delay, so that is one thing that we're going to be keeping in mind. So, of course, now we're going to take one final look over that sunset over Doak Campbell. Follow us on Twitter at FSU Weather. We'll always like to see what you have to respond to say. Like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather. We have a very active presence there. And, of course, watch us live on YouTube. If you're watching us right now, you already know where to go. Tell your mom, tell your parents, tell everyone. Follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. Send us some cool pictures of your dog and some weather, too. I don't know. And anyways, we're going to look over the forecast. We're going to end it up. Just look at that beautiful stadium.